But now to Capitol Hill on day 28 of the U.S. government shutdown. By the way, this is the second longest lasting shutdown in U.S. history. The longest one happened back in December of 2018 and dragged on for 35 days. Well, later today, Vice President JD Vance is headed to the Hill to meet with Senate Republicans. And for a 13th time, the Senate has failed to advance a Republican-backed funding bill that would reopen the government. The final vote, 54 to 45, falling just short of the 60 votes needed to move forward and open up the government. So here's another headline. If that shutdown does not end by Saturday, food assistance in the form of something called SNAP benefits, it runs out for more than 40 million Americans who need those benefits to put food on the table. Meanwhile, 1.4 million federal workers are missing paychecks, including those who are still working their jobs today. So that's brought World Central Kitchen, which is a charity known for bringing food to war zones, to the nation's capital. You see the video right there. A lot of people forced to wait in line to get food assistance. So let's get to the Hill and CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. Caitlin, the vice president is expected to talk tariffs with the GOP leaders, but what do we expect by way of a conversation on trying to get the government up and running again?
Hey, Reed, great to see you. Yeah, Vice President Vance is heading here. It's significant because the president is out of the country, and so there has been a little bit of a question of if the president's not here and there's no one to really negotiate with, where do things stand? Vance is making somewhat of a routine visit to lawmakers, Republican lawmakers here on Capitol Hill, but no doubt he will be asked by someone about the shutdown and what the administration plans to do about it. What you just described, Reed, I know we've been talking hurricanes, but what you just described is a perfect storm of a lot of different kinds of things affecting a lot of people across the country because of the inaction here on Capitol Hill. You just had the 13th vote on government funding. That is a 6-week measure. 7-week measure. We're almost at that point. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to be in a scenario in which, if the government shutdown is still in place, it will have lasted longer than the piece of legislation that was intended to fund the government. There has been no action on either side here to move forward to some kind of solution, Reed. It's just remarkable. The two sides are not talking to each other. There are different approaches being talked about, funding different parts of the government to help pay for different kinds of workers, and none of that has reached a point of actually becoming law and helping those who need it. So we are in a situation where we've just seen little action. We'll see whether there's some kind of movement after Vance visits today, but if history is any guide, unlikely.
Wow. And what I really appreciate about your reporting is that what happens in those marble hallways affects Americans with kids, people with very real situations on keeping the food on the table and the benefits. You've talked to some of those real life people who are facing the end of those SNAP food assistance benefits. What are they telling you?
Yeah, Reed, yesterday we traveled to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, about 2.5 hours from Washington. This is central Pennsylvania, a state that President Trump won, and we spent some time at a food bank there that is bracing for demand because if these SNAP benefits fall through, there's going to be a lot more demand on these food banks. And Reed, we spoke to a woman who is a 3-time cancer survivor, is unable to work, has been reliant on SNAP funding for the past few years, though she really didn't imagine that she would be in this kind of situation. I want you to take a listen to a little bit of our conversation. Having those resources, what does it mean for your life?
Everything. It means everything to me.
What exactly do you think you're going to need to do?
I'll have to ask my children to help me.
And what is...
That's an awful feeling.
How so?
For them to have to help me. It's a little tough to think about sometimes.
So, Reed, you can sense the pain and pride in her voice there, and it just goes to show that the inaction here on Capitol Hill is having already an effect on lots of people. 40 million Americans are set to lose their food stamp benefits come Saturday if no one acts. Now, there is a Republican proposal here in the Senate sponsored by Josh Hawley to fund SNAP benefits through the shutdown. He's trying to work on getting bipartisan support, but it's unclear whether that will get a vote. The USDA does have a contingency fund, about $5 billion in a fund that they say, however, that they can't legally tap because, in their words, that needs to be used for things like natural disasters. So we're starting to see this pressure being applied from the outside, and we'll see if it, pushes any lawmakers to reach some kind of solution here. But when you think about the people affected, they are very vulnerable, Reed. We're very grateful for the woman we featured there, Erin, for sharing her story with us, because I think those are so important to realize that what happens here affects everyone.
That's right. And at some point, these lawmakers are going to have to go home to their districts and hear from their very constituents who gave them the keys to their offices in the first place. Caitlin Huey-Burns on Capitol Hill, thank you so much for bringing us those headlines, not only from there, but also where people are feeling the pain points. Great work.